Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream, and another series. A series where we're going to be working on one of those guys right there. That's the Audi R8 Spyder by Revell. 1/24th scale? Yeah, 1/24th scale model kit. We're going to start working on this. We're going to open up the box, we're going to look at some parts, we'll get into it, okay? We'll run the intro. Let's go. Okay guys, we're back, and let's have a look at this. I've already opened the box, and actually what I did was I opened the box and I took the sprues out of the bags and I primered it all in white. Okay, I'm building this for a friend of mine and he wants it to be white, and so I mean it was molded in white anyway, so it's white plastic, so it's great, but you can't just leave it like that. It just doesn't look right, so I've primered it in white. Everything is white. I did use, I know some guys are going to hate me for this, I used Rust-Oleum 2X white primer to prime it. You know, I see a lot of guys on Facebook forums, guys who, you know, they paint their bodies, paint their cars with Rust-Oleum and duplicolor and all this stuff, and they get all these problems and they get a lot of flack about it. And I'm kind of one of those guys who sit there reading these things going, why the heck didn't you just use Tamiya paint? Why didn't you use your airbrush and spray it with proper model paints that are designed for models? You know what? There's also guys who use this stuff and they get fantastic results. So I keep my mouth shut and I don't say anything. And you know, I was thinking about it yesterday. Why do people buy the big rattle can stuff from their auto parts stores and Walmart and stuff like that? And I can understand why. You take a Tamiya bottle and you take a big can like this, and you look at these two things, and you know, okay, so you got 20 bucks in your pocket, and you need to buy some paint, okay? So what are your options? 20 bucks, I got 20 bucks to buy paint, okay? Well, 20 bucks will get me about that, 3 Tamiyas. You buy Tamiya, you're gonna get about that, you're gonna get like 3 of them for 20 bucks. Here in Canada, in the western part of Canada, these things cost about 5 bucks each, right? Roughly, 6 bucks even, I think, depending on the store. Yeah, so you're looking at like $18 plus tax, gotta pay tax. But 18 bucks, 20 bucks gonna get you 3 of them. If you're lucky, you'll get 4, if you're lucky, okay? Or you can get yourself, you know, a nice can of duplicolor metal cast, and this will run you about 20 bucks. And I think this costs 18, actually, something like that. When I bought this at Canadian Tire. Of course, you guys down in the States don't have Canadian Tire, but you've got like, what, Pep Boys and you got Walmarts and stuff like that have this stuff, right? Anyway, so you look at these and you go, I got 20 bucks, I can buy one of these, or I can buy 3 of these. Well, you think, you know, this is a lot more paint than what's in these 3 little jars, right? So you figure this is going to last a lot longer. But the one thing you haven't thought about is thinner. For about 5 bucks, you can get yourself a great big thing of lacquer thinner. And by adding lacquer thinner to airbrush these, you're going to change these 3 into like that. And you're going to get that. And now you've got this much paint versus this. And you're looking at 20 bucks versus 18. So really, this will last you a lot longer. And if you really want to thin it out, you can even get more. So these are actually a better value. On the surface, you're just buying one, yeah, okay, this is not much of a value. But in the long run, and in the big picture, your Tamiya paints, or Mr. Hobby, whatever you prefer to buy, they're going to last you a lot longer than one of these. You're going to paint, how many cars are you going to paint with one of these? 3, 4, maybe, right? And you're going to paint all your cars the same color? No. But you can buy 5 or 6 colors of the Tamiya, and you can paint your 5 or 6 colors of cars, and it's going to last you a long time. So I really do recommend you guys buy Tamiya paints to paint your cars, because it's going to last longer, and it's going to be cheaper in the long run. And you're going to have less problems with things like the paint just completely peeling off of the primer and stuff like that, because the stuff's designed for plastic model kits. This stuff is made for cars, made of steel and aluminum. That's my little rant, okay? And that's my little tip for today. I'm done with that now. Let's get into this. We're gonna go through the sprues, see what we've got ahead of us, and we'll get into it. Let me change the camera here and let's have a look, okay? Let me see if I can change the camera. It's been a while. I just got back from 2 weeks in Korea. So, yeah. I think this works. Yes, here we are. Alright. So, obviously, we have the body. The body's one piece like this. This is the Spyder, so we have convertible roof. Just like that. This kit, I believe you have the options. You can actually put the roof on, which is kind of nice. But he would like it to be the convertible with the top down, so that's what we're doing. So like I said, this is molded in white, but I have primered this. Primered this about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, primer's dry. That's that. Okay. So we've got about 4 or 5 sprues in here, and sure enough, yes, here's the roof. And looks like a couple wheel wells. We've got our dashboard there. Our dash. And I don't know what that is. It looks like maybe the cover that goes on the top here, and a couple of things like that. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory. This looks like the rear hood. Rear hood. You know, normally it's a trunk, but I believe this is a rear engine car. And so yeah, it looks like that's going to go in right there. Okay, that's that. Sprue number 1 done. Then we've got some seats. The front and the backs of the seats. Looks like our front grille. Rear bumper maybe, looks like. Inserts, which could be for the rear here. I'm not sure. Could be for the front. I don't think that's the front. Probably the rear. Grills that are probably for the front. Looks like our mirrors and a couple of little things. Looks like license plate frames. And that's that sprue. That's our B sprue. B right there, yeah. Okay, next one. Looks like we have interior. We have a door panel that is sitting in the bottom of the box here. Door panels, interior bucket. This looks like the headliner with our visors, steering wheel, steering column. A little bit of schmutz on that column there. That's okay because the interior will not be white. The interior is going to be a kind of a dark beige. I believe the color I have picked out for it is, to me, as LP76 yellow brown. That is going to be the color of our interior right there. That's what we're doing. Okay. So anyway, that's that sprue. Next we have our F and sprue, which has our engine, a couple of surrounding pieces, and we got our wheels, or at least the back half of the wheels, or inner half. Looks like suspension arms, brake rotors, yeah, engine parts, stuff like that. Be interesting how this all goes together. This is probably going to be step number 1, which usually is with automotive builds. And our last sprue, we've got our D. I got a big D here, or I mean, let me rephrase that. I have a big part on my D sprue. Yeah, the undercarriage, the pan. Looks like our mufflers, exhaust pipes, steering arms. Look like our, I'm guessing our rear diff. And wiper blades. Yeah, those look like wiper blades with their little balls on them. Let's just nip those balls off of there. Ouch. Be careful when you're nipping your balls. You don't want to nip your balls. Especially not too close. Anyway, that's that. Where's my head going? And that's it. No more sprues in the box, except for one sprue. I'll get to it in a second here. Let me just put these back. Okay. These back in the box. Now, like I said, I've primered all of these. I did everything. It's been primered in white, so it's a little bit, you can feel the paint, and it's not smooth, shiny plastic anymore. One final sprue is the chrome sprue. This guy right here. I did look at some reference photos of this car in white, and it looks like these cars possibly have couple of options. Your rims could be black, they could be just aluminum, they could be chrome. My friend wants the chrome, so I'm going to keep the chrome. I'm not going to strip the kit chrome off this one. This is all going to stay chrome. The only part I'm going to have to do is where I'm going to contact with glue. You have to scrape the chrome off of that in order for the glue to actually work, and that's typical, and that's I've just described that with you guys many times. So yeah, and that is it. I don't seem to have any clear parts. Where are my clear parts? I should have a clear part. I should have a windshield. The car needs a windshield. Does it not? Doesn't the car need a windshield? Maybe I got it buried. You know, I did open this kit and I primered it all, and I should have a windshield around here somewhere. Where did I put the windshield? It's gotta be here. It's gotta be somewhere. I don't know. You know what? I'll find it later. I'll find the windshield later. It's not in the box. but I know it came with a windshield, okay? It did, trust me. I just misplaced it. And I put it down 2 weeks ago, and now here I am, I'm starting this, right? Anyway, so, what is step one with this guy? Now, we have one thing that's nice. Sometimes Revell really surprises me and does something really cool, and I'll show you what I mean. Sometimes Revell has in their instructions a list of what every single part is and its name. And this is one of those occasions. You look at every single part number in the list here, and it'll tell you part number 1 is the LT, that's left engine half, right engine half. Number 3 is injectors, engine front, rocker cover, engine bottom, transaxle cover, exhaust, scroll down, rear struts, differential bottoms, tie rods. It tells you what the name of every single part and what it is. Revell does not always do this, but they did with this kit. I like that. I like it when they add that detail in there and they tell you what every single kit is, or what every single piece, all the way up to part number 122, right side window. My windows are somewhere, I just don't know where. These might be them. This might be the window, but I don't think so. As much as they might be, I think these are for a Mustang. So I don't know where my windows are. Maybe I can use the windows on my F-18. Anybody want Mavericks F-18? You guys know that I recently built the F-18 Jolly Rogers, and I don't have room on my shelf for both, so this one's got to go. Yeah. So, yeah. Mavericks F-18. Bye-bye. I want to know where my windshield is. I really do. I think I dropped it. If memory serves me correctly, I dropped it when I was going through the sprues. And I figured, I'll get it later. And yeah. Let's forget about the windshield and get to working on this thing. Step number 1, of course, engine. Now I did already go through this book. What I like to do is I go through the books, and where all the color callouts, I like to just write it in there everywhere, every time, so I know what colors everything is supposed to be without having to refer to the reference chart at the beginning of the book and constantly flipping through. So that's what I like to do. I like to go through and just write it all down, so as I'm looking at the page, I know what color everything's supposed to be. Even if I'm not going to paint it right away, I still like to know exactly what I'm dealing with. So let's grab that. Let's get into this and grab the proper glasses. And let's see here. So number 2, we want number 2. It's our engine block halves. These two guys here. Let's get these. Let's see how these go together. I think it's going to go like that. They don't really have very good guide. There's no guide pins, so you just got to line them up and put them together like that. So let's get some extra thin. Get that lined up there. And let's put some glue on there. Make sure it's lined up, and there we go. There's a engine block. Okay, let's go. Going by this little arrow that they're showing here, would go over to this section here. So let me fold my book just so it fits a little better, not only on my desk but also in the picture. Looks like we're going to be adding a bunch of stuff to this engine block. So we want part number 3, looks like our intake manifold, and possibly top of the transmission housing. We want part number 6. Everything being white, it is a little bit difficult to read the numbers. There's 5 and 6. Okay, so 5 goes on this side of the engine, 6 goes on that side. It's already come off in that section there. So this is number 5. 5 goes on this side. And this is number 6. Goes on this side. This technically goes in this direction based on our picture orientation. We need number 4, looks like our front of the engine. Number 4 looks, that can't be right. This does not look like the same part as it in this picture, because that's number 7. Where's number 4? Over here. There we go. Number 4. Oh, we do want number 7. 7 looks like our oil pan. Very strange looking oil pan, but at the same time, I'm not that familiar with Audis and their mechanical stuff. I really don't know anything about this car. You know, when, what was it, back in like 2007 or 2009, something like that, Michael Bay made the Transformers movies. Or some people lovingly called Bayformers, because it's like his version of the Transformers, right? And they came out with Decepticon was a car, and he was an Audi R8. Had about 15 seconds of screen time before he got killed, but it was cool while it lasted. Okay, so this guy, our intake, has to go up on top here. He's going to slide down in there like that, and that fits quite nicely there, except I've got an ugly nub on the back of that piece, so this needs to be cleaned up. And so I thought, you know, when I saw that, because I've ever since I was 12 years old, I always liked the Decepticons. And the Decepticons had F8, F-16, not F-16s, F-15s were their planes, and, you know, Megatron was a gun, and that Soundwave, of course. Who doesn't love Soundwave? You know, it's just awesome. And so, of course, I was always a fan of Decepticons, and you know, when they had a Decepticon as the Audi R8, it was like, that's really cool. And they're showing this backwards here, so I think this is supposed to go like that. And they're showing it backwards. No, I'm trying to put it on backwards. There is a little hole here. There's a little slot in that spot right there. I don't know if the camera's really picking it up. See that little notch right here where I'm pointing the knife, right? And then there's one on this side too, so you know which direction that's supposed to go in, because if your notch ain't fitting in that slot, it ain't gonna work. It also is gonna put it up front here a little bit further from the block. You see that? For your lining up. Do the same with this one. Interesting little side effect, I guess, of having everything primered already is everything fits together a little bit snug. It's fitting together just a little, you know, I'm feeling that little bit of resistance from the paint, making everything fit snug. See, it just sits in there. I think if it was not, if I hadn't primered it, it would be a looser fit and it would not hold on its own without me holding it. That's what holding its own means, you know, I'm not holding it. You know what I mean. Shut up, leave me alone. Okay, there's our front on the engine block. And finally, we're going to get our oil pan with our little pipe thing facing the front. It's going to go in like that. Close up the hole. I have a feeling that this whole thing is going to be aluminum, except for a couple of details, which they show here, pointing it out. F. I'm going to paint our little spark plugs. They could be, it's probably part of the coil packs. There's probably individual coils underneath there, is my guess, for the ignition. Anyway, there's our completed engine block and intake stacks, and I'm guessing our transmission also. Yeah, there's that. That's that step done. So then we go boink this way down to this little section here. And this is where we got to kind of strategize between assembling and painting, because we got parts like these little drive shafts that need to go in here, but these are going to be painted black. Part number 8 goes on the back of the transmission. That's good part of it, so I can put that on. But then we got to start thinking about painting stuff. Here's part number 8, nice rectangular block. We have to consider stuff to paint before assembly, right? Because if you just assemble everything, you're going to wind up with things that you cannot access to paint. Now, there is a slot here. They're showing the slot needs to be going down towards the bottom. So, that's what I'm going to do. It looks like we've got kind of a notch cut out here. I guess that's for that, to ensure you got it the right way around. Doesn't, oh, it's a tight fit. It's tight. Tight like a toiter. Tight like my tight pants. Okay, back of the transmission's installed. Give it a nice good squeeze to make sure it's all in there. The glue, you got a tight fit. The glue will always act as a bit of a lubricant to get the parts to fit better. There we go. So we got the back of the tranny on there. It's a great big block. It's kind of weird looking, but yeah, there you go. Okay. So we have parts here, but we got to consider actually painting some stuff here. Like our exhaust manifolds, our exhaust needs to be painted. Drive shafts needs to be painted. They actually want the boots of the shafts here to be flat black, but I know from experience that these are probably made of rubber, so I'm going to paint those with rubber black. And then they want the actual shafts to be semi-gloss black, which I'll just use some Tamiya X1 because it's pretty much a semi-gloss. And then we got this guy here. This is supposed to be F, which again is semi-gloss. I don't know what part. This is what's cool about the fact that they pointed this out. What is number 13? What is this part? Well, let's go back here and see what number 13 is. Number 13 is the oil filter, right? Oil filter. Where are we here? 13, right there. Oil filter. That is nice. Thank you very much. Now I know that's the oil filter. And of course they want it painted black. So let's put this aside for now. This has to be, I'm going to spray paint this with aluminum. because that's what it's supposed to be. But I'm going to airbrush it, and I don't have my airbrush all set up yet. So we'll just do some detail painting on here. I've got to do some painting on the undercarriage. The undercarriage, they want black. They want it painted black completely. I might just use a rattle can and spray paint the whole thing and paint that black. They want A. A, of course, is aluminum, so our A arms are supposed to be aluminum, while the color of the undercarriage is black. But I have a feeling, tonight's gonna be a good night. Let's get all our sprues out here. Okay, there's our chassis. So I think, see, they're calling it to be just paint this all black, right? Except of course for our A arms, they want those aluminum, but they want this black. So, but I don't know if they want the whole thing and this side, if the underside is supposed to be black. So let's just take a look and flip through this book before I go spray painting the whole thing. Oh yeah, see? They're calling for this center section to be the same color as the body. So they want me to leave this white because the body's white. And then this part is F. What is F? F is semi-gloss black. So I'm going to need to mask this little section off and paint the rest black. But what about the underside? Do they show the underside at any point? They don't show, at least not yet. They got a lot of steps in this one. They don't show the underside, but it looks like the underside of the car is going to be black. So I'm going to mask this off, and I'm just going to spray paint it with rattle can. I'll just grab a can over here. Let's see. I happen to have that in my stash. TS14 black. That will work. But let's get this off the sprue. There we go. Okay, we want to clean up our nubs because we don't want to wait until later when, you know, we've already painted this and then scrape these nubs and then wind up, you know, now you're going to have a white spot. We don't want to have a white spot, so clean the nubs first. Okay, and now they want this section. They've actually got lines here, but they also have their Revell stamp and the number Audi R8 Spyder 2011 Revell blah 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 blah. But that, I don't think that really matters. You need to have that. They're calling for that to be the body color, so let's just lay down some masking tape here. Let's get in there. Okay, one more piece, and that'll do it. this edge here. There you go. And go along this edge. And we're going to get this piece up. Here we go. Okay. Throw this down on my table and I'll give it a quick coat and let it dry. We're gonna have to let that dry. If you try and spray it too thick, what happens is you're gonna get all these little lines where you're gonna see the white. You can see it's not going up to the edge of the detail, and I get a little bit of weird kind of stuff going on, but that happens and that's the way it goes. But another coat on that will clean that up. So we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes and we'll put a second coat. You don't want it to go too heavy with it, right? You do a heavy coat, that's when these guys have all these problems. Your first coat should never be super heavy. Okay. So let's have a look at these parts. Number 10 and number 12. I don't know if they're on this same sprue or not. Yes, they are, right here and here. These guys need to be black. So I'm going to paint them with some Tamiya X1. I'm going to try this. I'll try this one. This one's thinned out to be airbrushed. But I might be able to use a regular brush. I might be able to just brush paint this one. We'll see. I do have another jar with some unthinned black, so we'll see. We'll see how this covers. I might do 2 coats because it is a little bit thin. I'm kind of able to see some of the white underneath of it. But the nice thing about this stuff is it does dry really quick. That's another thing about Tamiya paints, guys. Tamiya paint dries really quickly and you really can't beat that. So we got those, and that's about it for that. We need to paint these A-arms aluminum, except for those, that part's supposed to be black. 15, that's aluminum. Our wheel wells are supposed to be black. I think what I want to do is it's C. C, I believe, is flat black. Yes, it is. C is flat black. So I need to paint the wheel wells flat black. And what's nice about that is I can either use like a Tamiya flat black, or again, I got Rust-Oleum primer flat black. I can use that, and that's a nice option. Or I could just use some Mr. Surfacer 1500. Use my Mr. Surfacer, throw that in the airbrush, and I could spray paint it with that too. So I have options when it comes to flat black, whichever I feel like using. I am going to put a second coat on there on my little axles here, just to get them the proper black and without any white showing. I don't want the white showing. Okay. Number 13, F is 13 is also supposed to be black, so I've got to find number 13 on here, if it is even on here, which it might be. We go from part number 12 to part number 36, 38, 39. Is 13 on this sprue? It doesn't look like it. I'm not seeing part number 13. I see 39, but I need 13. Where is part number 13? Watch it be on the chrome sprue. I'm looking just for the heck of it, just to see. It is really cool. We've got actual chrome Audi emblems. That's a nice little detail. chrome Audi emblems. I gotta find part number 13. So I don't know where it is. Part number 21 is our shocks. I believe those need to be black too. Since I've got it in my hand and I've got the paint open. F. No, they're not supposed to be. Oh yes, they are. So our shocks, these are supposed to be black. I think there's going to be quite a few parts on this thing that are just either black or aluminum, you know what I mean? And that's the thing with modern cars. Modern cars are kind of like that. You just kind of stick with a color theme to all your parts everywhere just about. Unfortunately, it makes it a little visually boring, which is why it's a good practice to have different blacks in your arsenal. Things like, you know, gloss black, semi-gloss black, flat black, satin black, rubber black, stuff like that. NATO black even. Just so that you get some visual differences in all these black parts that the manufacturers use. Anyway, my shocks are painted now, so that's good. I still haven't found my oil filter. I have a feeling my steering rack is going to be black too. And maybe my diff, I don't know yet. We'll worry about that in a minute. Still, let's find the oil filter. Here's my wheel wells. So those are the guys that gotta be black. Flat black, I mean. I'll probably just clip this off so that they're on their own little sprue by themselves, and then I'll paint them. But that's those. Where's my oil filter, please? I don't see it on here. Oh, you know what? I didn't take everything out of the box. I forgot all about the tires. We've got tires in a bag here. And I found the windshield. I found the clear sprue. Yay! And we got a decal sheet with a whole bunch of different license plates. So yay, found it, problem solved. Except for the problem of oil filter. Where is number 13? Because it's not on the C sprue. Okay, so this is a little stupid. Where is part number 13? Let's look on here. 73, 5, 6, 7, 40, 36, 8. Wheels, rotors. That is 39. There, I just found it. It's right here. It's hiding from me in plain sight. Okay, oil filter is painted, ready for the engine. Alright, now we've got a piece here that's going to go on. It's clear. We're supposed to put a decal on it, but we're not going to do that. We're not worrying about that right now because I'm running out of time to work on this thing. And I need to get my airbrush fired up. I need to paint a bunch of stuff, and then we can continue on with the assembly. So I am thinking because I can't really do anything now, I can't really do much more of this, and I don't want to bore you guys watching paint dry. So I think this is this is going to be where I just kind of call it a day for this particular episode, because I've got another coat of paint to do on the one side of my undercarriage, and then I've got to flip it over. I've got to do this side too, so I got to do one coat here, two more here. I got to do all that. I got to fire up the air compressor. I got to paint a bunch of aluminum stuff. I'm going to do all that off camera, and so next time we come back, be able to put a lot more parts together in one episode. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to call it a day, and just say that's it for today. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for waiting for my next episode. And you know, leave a like down below if you feel like it, and check out my description box with links to my other things like my Instagram and my Twitch channel and stuff like that. Twitch, of course, you could watch me live, and you could interact with me live if you so felt like. And Instagram, of course, every time I finish a build, I upload pictures of it all, so you can check out everything I've built in the past 5 years or so. And yeah, well, thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you all in the next one.